My name's William Henry Bradley. I was born in Calgary in 1940, then moved to Vancouver when I was 10 or 11. I used to hang around with Sowen Gill, and he was one of the best junior players in junior, a top goal scorer, and there's 4 or 5 other guys, Gary Stevens, Ron Bodner, George Longman, Dickie Crompton, and I'm sure I've missed a couple, but they were pretty all outstanding players. I didn't start playing lacrosse till I was 17. And not playing for a team, but down at the lacrosse box, and that was where everyone hung around that played lacrosse and was in sports, and Confederation Park. And I just picked up from what I used to watch, and Gordy Gimple, and he's a few years older than me, from North Burnaby. They used to have, I think they're called the Rockies, they would practice down in the lacrosse, Pete Cowie and Gimp and whatever, I call him Gimp. But so just watching them, and Sowen showing me a few things, and you know, how to score and whatever, and I practice with my stick a lot. And hockey and lacrosse are pretty similar sports, other than one's on ice. You got to be a good skater, of course. Norburn athletics, it was quite an experience. I think for all of us, you know, in those days, the Carlings, I mean, they were a tough team with a lot of tough guys, and you know, I thought, well, I don't know whether I could ever play, and you know, I'm not good enough. And then we played them and whatever, and Chisholm used to threaten me all the time and whatever, because I played hockey at the Forum, at the P&E, and he always said, "You play against me and up the thing, I'm going to knock your head off." Well, I found that they're not as tough as I thought they were, you know, but they're a heck of a lacrosse team. There's no doubt about that. So then Victoria came after to pick up some of us guys that played on the team, and so I went over there with Sowen. He was actually my best friend, and I kind of looked after him a bit too. Somebody was roughing him up or whatever, you know. And anyhow, they treated us like gold when we went over there, like I thought I was in a Hollywood movie. You know, you're walking down the street, everybody's waving at you. There's a Dorman's Clothiers. What do you need? A suit? You need this? You go to the pub. You couldn't buy a beer. Anyhow, the only problem is we got to know all the Seagulls by their first name, you know, taking the ferry over there all the time. But that was a great experience, and we got treated real well. And then when the Adanacs wanted to form a team in Coquitlam, that was a chance for, you know, we'd be back at home and play with some of the guys that couldn't make that league then, because there's like 1 or 2 guys could make Senior A or the Inner City League on any team. And a lot of the Burnaby guys followed us there, and the ones that could stay and made it and went. And then Gimple, they were allowed to take 2 players off every team they moved, and they took Gimple and Alec Carey, and he coached the team. Well, they took Barkley and Mike Gates, who's, in my mind, probably the best all-around lacrosse player to ever play the game. He used to win the scoring. He never was on the power play. They didn't even hang a sweater up in Coquitlam when he was alive. You know, he died too young. And he just retired. I think he was 62 or 63. And they talked about it, and we said, well, yeah, the guy's an automatic. You know, you can look at his stats. In junior, same thing. he wasn't even on the power play, and the guy won the scoring race, you know, and who could get the ball off him when he was ragging it. Of course, he could shoot from center and score sometimes. But no, he's a great player. He had, you know, he didn't look after himself like he should and whatever, but other than that, as far as lacrosse goes. And I played against a lot of the great players back east too when I was there, and in Portland, and against Beyonda when he played for Nanaimo and New Westminster. And then we went from there. We got Beyonda, or not Beyonda, Barkley and Ivan Stewart, and I think Ken Audie came there the first year too. And he was great for us young guys. And not Barkley so much, but Ken Audie was. And then of course, Gimp, who's still coaching, call him Gimp, Gordy Gimple. He still coaches in the WLA, I think. I haven't been to a game for a couple of years, but I know when I went, I'd always say, Gimp, how come they're doing this and that? Because that isn't how you coach. He says, well, Bill, you can't tell these guys. You tell them that, and they don't do what you tell them. And I said, well, if I was a coach, the head coach, and he said, well, the head coach doesn't jump on them like they should. I said, well, that's pretty crazy, because he affected my career a lot. Shown me how to score when I got a breakaway, because I could get in, you know, not easy, but to get a, and in those days, you used to probably try to sneak around the outside so you didn't get killed, especially if you're playing against Vancouver. But he taught me a lot, and then he moved me from forward to defense, because I was a good checker. And that worked out good for me, because in those days you only had two sets of defensemen and three sets of forward line, you know, so you're getting on the floor more too, right? And the guy, he's got such a passion for the game, but what a great coach. And I played for the great Jim Bishop. I'm sure you've heard of him. 71, 72. He put the word out that that he wanted me to come back east, and very few guys from here go back east. In fact, I don't know of any. So I thought, 7 Minto Cups. These guys were, and I watched them, you know, when they were here. Well, they treated me pretty good there too, eh? I lived there, where the Oshawa guys come to the game and practices. And you know how far Oshawa is from Windsor. Yeah. And some of them, a couple of them were from Huntsville, and that's where Beyonda's from. Yes. So that, I think there were 2-3 guys that were living in Windsor. Mito Martinello, he was kind of a spare on the team. And I worked there because I had to send money back home and that. And another guy, there's only one other guy that worked on the team. Higgs and I were hung around quite a bit. A guy named Jimmy Higgs. He's a all-time great Green Gale. But he didn't work. He didn't like work either, I don't think. But so after work, I lived in, these people wanted me to stay at their place, this gal and her boyfriend. So I had a room, and they treated me like gold. And Bishop was the manager of the Detroit Red Wings then, so I used to go to their games, and with 1 or 2 guys from Windsor. But I was treated pretty good there. I was a playing coach of, well, I was a coach of the Quebecois. Then Fergie kept on harping. He wanted me to play. So I was still, and I was the manager too, because Fergie wasn't there half the time. So I had to arrange all the things at the motel that we stayed, the Belvedere Motel, organize all that. Then the coaching, and I used to run with the guys. And then finally, when he got me to play, then he stood behind the bench and coached. And I imagine some of his assistants or whatever helped with the management level and whatever, right? But this was like real pro, not like it is today. That isn't pro. The guys can't even practice once a week. You might not even see another. How do you practice your power play? How do you practice your short man? As far as money goes, I think I was making around 12 grand for the whole season. And some of the ordinary players were making around 6 or 7. The next year in Maryland, I was making, I think, around 16 or 17. Every day, if you're not, you're on the road. You practice every day. I think it was a 34 or 38 game schedule. I forget what it was. But that was pro. Well, yeah, and that's the way the game was played. And I coached minor for 10 years or better, and senior, or inner city there for, I don't know, I can't keep track of the years, but none of my teams, they had to play both ends. Well, how do you put 5 offensive guys on the floor at the same time that all want the ball, and they shoot with 20 seconds left on the shot clock from way out? You know, so no, I don't like that either. So, well, we had a great coach with Gordy, and another thing, that guy is like left or right hand on a breakaway. I think there's nobody better. I keep on telling people even today that the best line I've ever seen, and I've seen at different lines because I was back east for 3-4 years and here, Usselman and Alec Carey. You know, now they got 5 offensive guys. Alec Carey go in with the ball and he could score. He had that crazy fake shot, which he faked a lot of guys out. And Usselman's 6'5" or 6", and Gordy's overhand's his best shot, right or left, and he can let a sidearm. And the overhand's your best shot anyhow, to be accurate, because you either shoot high or you can shoot low, and that goalie has to worry about that. Well, I wouldn't have changed the guys I played with unless they were the Green Gales, and they're back east. I wasn't on the power play or a great goal scorer, so I can't remember anybody beating me for a goal that was important. I had to check guys like Parnell and whatever, and there's sometimes you get knocked out of the way or you don't get your check. It doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to get beat. But and I'm sure I got beat a few times, but I can't remember. I guess the most disappointing was the 68 year when we got beat by the Salmon Bellies. That was hard to take. The biggest thing about lacrosse, the highs and the lows, and you play in the summertime, it's hot, is the friends you make, they're friends for life. You know, that you meet, especially in lacrosse, because it is a tough game. People come up and thank me for coaching them, or talk about the playing days and whatever. Good to see you. I haven't seen you for 40 years or whatever it is. But how often does that ever happen, you know? So I would say, how can you beat that? other than being healthy enough to still walk around, work. Like I've been building a house for 3-4 years now and working every day, and I can still do it. My knees are bad, but I've had like rotor cuff operations, jaw, 4 broken noses, a couple hundred stitches, broken jaw, you name it, I've had it. But I can still, so I guess the big guy might like me a bit, I don't know, I'm still going. Yeah.